Hi, I'm Kelyn Torrance. This is my project discovery on reading body language, and this is my guest expert. Introduce yourself and explain why you think you're an expert.
Hi, my name's Ben, and I believe I'm an expert because of my career. I'm currently a dealer account manager for Westlake Financial Services. So basically, I work for a $6 billion lending institute, and my job is to persuade indirect lenders to use my bank. And the reason I believe I'm a body language expert is not only have I taken seminars and courses on it as part of my professional development, I use it every day in my career, in a 20 plus year career of sales and business management. Does that help, Kelyn?
Yes. How do you use the ability to read body language to your advantage?
I use it to my advantage in two ways. The first one is professionally. Professionally, when you're meeting with someone face to face, whether you're selling them something or you want them to join your organization, being able to read them as far as if they're picking up what you're saying or feeling positive about what you're saying, or even better, when you can see them to react negatively, to change the subject or say something more positive. So in a face-to-face, person-to-person sales situation, it's to my advantage. Personally, I use it in interacting with my wife, interacting with my children, my mother, and you can read if you have to give them good or bad news or how their day was by paying attention to their body language.
Okay. What's the most important part to you about reading body language?
The important part to me is to pay attention. You have to not just listen to what they're saying if they're still talking, but you have to look at multiple pieces of body language. Eye contact being primary. It's a very small piece that people overlook because it's easy to see if someone is open or closed or they turn away, but the eye contact to see, are they really looking in you in the eye? Do they really want to interact, or are they looking away, looking down, looking up? That to me is the most important, to pay attention to all that.
When and where do you think body language really plays into someone's everyday life?
It should play into people's jobs for the most part, if you're interacting with any people at all. And then I also think in public, when you see people that maybe you have to interact with, whether it's at a store or at school, I think that's when. But most importantly, when you're having an important conversation. If I'm trying to close a big deal, that is the best time for me to really pay attention to the person that I'm trying to close.
Yeah. How do you think it can benefit someone's everyday life?
That's a great question. Everyone can benefit from body language. And these days, in this pandemic, where going out in public is less popular, sometimes frowned upon. People are wearing masks. You might go to school, meet brand new people, and you don't even know what their face looks like. So where you can benefit is to read people's nonverbal cues, where they may not talk as much, or you can't see their mouth when they're talking because they're wearing a mask. You don't know if they're smiling or frowning, but if you look at their eye contact and their open or closed body language, if they're down or they're, if they're up, all those things, I think in this day and age, in a pandemic, I think it's even more important. People don't want you 6 feet around them. So if you start getting close to someone and you can read their language as they turn away, they don't want you around them. So you can actually really benefit, especially these days, if you pay attention to how people react to your presence.
Thank you. Now, do you have any advice for anyone, Dad?
What'd you call me?
Dad.
Dad, oh yes, I am your father. I read her all the time. So my advice is to look at the eyes first, and you're already ahead. If they're looking you in the eye, they're truly listening to what you're saying, and they're probably buying into what you're trying to communicate to them. And then the rest of body language, there's lots of little cues, and one of them, if you're the person trying to persuade, like maybe you're a teacher or a salesperson like me, there's a body language strategy called mirroring, and you'll actually notice that people will do it to you. But if my customer is standing there with his hands in his pockets, nodding his head, well, I'll do the same thing too, because people like people that are like them. So if you mirror them, even changing the tone of your voice, if they're fastened up, and then you might talk to them the same way, fastened up. If they're slow and calculated, you might talk to them in that same manner, because people are more likely to follow your persuasion or go in the direction that you're trying to steer them if they like you. They're more likely to like you if you are like them. Does that help, daughter?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was my interview with Torrance, and yeah, thank you.